All this is like a kamikaze insult, right? It's, I mean, Ian, your tattoos are awful. This tattoo is awful. Okay, sure. His are awful taste but great execution, and yours are awful taste but awful execution. I mean, this is not really a W for you. You can both take an L for this one if you want. I'll allow that, but you're definitely not getting a W for this. I'm so sick of these text messages and DMs being referenced and not shown. I just want to see the DMs, the messages. What exactly was said?
Don't want to touch grass.
I mean, yeah, this was kind of...
Okay, what does that have to do with me?
I don't know.
Are you okay?
Ethan and Hila act like they have no idea what I'm talking about here. So, I mean, maybe they don't. It's a very obvious and easy to digest point. That's why I made it that way.
Okay, but what good is going and touching grass gonna do when you have real world consequences like CPS visiting you? Like that's why it's stupid. And he would ask, "Oh, what do they mean? What does that have to do with me?" Because yeah, he could go and touch grass, but he still has to talk to the guy from CPS. Much in the way that iDubbbz chose to double down on the failure that was Creator Clash 2 in the form of Creator Clash 3, iDubbbz has also decided to double down on the failure that was the H3 content cop in the form of a content deputy. Luckily, this time the video is only about half an hour, so you don't have to put up with about 30 minutes of Ian failing to tell any jokes or really encapsulate the spirit of what content cop used to be. And from what I've seen, he even has less of an effort to do anything that would allow him to associate this with Content Cop at all.
Hello everyone, welcome back to another episode of Content Deputy. Now normally in a Content Deputy I would dance around in my cop outfit in the woods, but this video isn't going to have any of that fanfare. We're just going to get...
So that's it. He put the jacket on for 3 seconds and half-heartedly punched his punching bag. And that's enough. All right, calling it a content deputy. I mean, people already said he was phoning it in and doing the least amount he possibly could to put the content cop name on the original H3 video. But I mean, if you didn't think he was then, it's undeniable here.
Straight into it. I was hoping that if I made a video about Ethan, he would act like an adult and he would keep the attacks directed at me and Anisa. Unfortunately,
Have you seen Ethan respond to anything ever? I have to imagine you have. Right? Ethan does not react to things by going 100% logical. Let me address point by point. He makes fun of everything he possibly can. I don't know why on earth you would have thought, oh, I'm going to make this video about Ethan, and he's just going to play it real straight and narrow, and he'll only respond to exactly what was said in the video. He'll go down the list of points just like that. In what world was Ethan ever going to do that? Right? You spent a considerable amount of time talking about Goblin mode. How that was a thing that Ethan does, and he even has Demon mode. But you really thought you were going to make this hour-long video about Ethan. He was going to go, oh, let me just keep it to the content of the video and not make fun of anything else related to iDubbbz and Anisa.
I was wrong in thinking that because Ethan, in a desperate attempt to attack and smear Anisa and I, he started attacking our charity event.
I don't know if you know this, but last year they lost $250,000. To be charitable, you actually have to give money to charity, Hassan. You have to give money to be charity. It's like a slush fund for them.
Ethan and Hila are well aware that we...
Yeah. I mean, that's pretty fair, right? Do you get to call yourself a charity if the last time you did this, you lost money and donated $0 to charity? Because, I mean, which event do we think Creator Clash 3 is going to be more like? Is it going to be more like Creator Clash 1 or 2? All signs point to it being more like Creator Clash 2, right? They already had to stop selling all of the upper bowl seats. They locked those off. They're not selling them because they're not selling enough tickets. There's no need for it.
Raised $1.3 million for charity the first year of Creator Clash. The second year we operated at a loss, and I take full responsibility for that. We did band together, the community and...
Well, you say you take full responsibility for it, but you've blamed pirating before. So I don't know. You take partial responsibility from what I've seen, but you also said pirating was a huge problem. So I don't know if I agree with that.
At a loss, and I take full responsibility for that. We did band together. The community and the fighters involved ended up raising $175,000 for charity. It's been really disheartening to see how often Ethan will attack Creator Clash through us or attack us through Creator Clash.
Ian and Anisa, masters of putting on an event.
He's reposting.
I mean, really, what did you expect? H3 has pushed Creator Clash more than just about anybody. I mean, he might be the #1 person who has pushed and advertised for Creator Clash. And then you make a video talking crap about him for an hour, not saying this unprovoked or anything, but you really expected him to just say, oh, yeah, I hate Ethan, he's a scum, he's awful, be thrown in the pit. But Creator Clash, you guys should definitely go to Creator Clash. Like come on. What did you think was going to happen?
Us through Creator Clash.
Ian and Anisa, masters of putting on an event.
He's reposting random troll accounts that are very easy to vet. If you click on this profile, it has a bunch of Sam Hyde adjacent.
What are they saying? I need a refund. Please stop ignoring my emails. Perhaps due to them finding out that you're please ditch that hoe man for your own sake. When are you dropping the Sam Hyde interview? Can't wait. Go back to Mexico, please. Thank you. Okay. So did Ethan say that these are serious points that are being made? Or did he just retweet them because, I don't know, maybe it's kind of funny that somebody's asking for a refund? Also, if you're not aware, Harley, Epic Mealtime, who was probably one of the most anticipated fights, if not the most anticipated fight. There's the Minecraft guys. Those could be okay. And then the Lena from H3 versus Funky Frogbait, I think that's her name. I was kind of interested in those. But Harley dropped out. And according to a Florida law, and I'm not a lawyer, so I'm not going to pull this up and go into it much at all, but from what people are gathering from this law, if a central part of your boxing event is canceled or falls through, you have to refund anybody who asks for it by law. And supposedly, because this has happened, Florida might take all of the earnings from this and keep it in a temporary fund for up to 6 months or a year or something like that, while they see what went on, make sure there's no funny business. And this part I'm very doubtful. This just seems like it would be too good to be true, too funny. Potentially, Florida would just take all of that money anyway, and Creator Clash would get none of it. I find that very hard to believe, but I've heard some people interpreting the law that way. So maybe Ethan's just getting in on the memes of making fun of the fact that you guys are going to have to give a bunch of refunds on top of the event already not selling very well. And so he's retweeting some people talking about that. I don't, unless you can show me Ethan saying these are substantive points that I'm retweeting, I'm going to assume he's retweeting them because he thinks it's funny. Or looks like it's Instagram, but you know what I mean.
Posts, and it just hates Anisa and I. Come on, dude, you're one step away from calling me a cuck. Just take the plunge. He's highlighting this post that equates Creator Clash to a crypto rug pull. He's saying the event is going to be...
What did he say there? Harley dropped out 48 plus hours ago. Lena dropped out 24 plus hours ago. Website is unchanged. No announcements on socials. And Anisa is active on socials talking about going on vacation. Ticket sales are still open with no announcement. Is Creator Clash just Ian and Anisa's version of a crypto rug pull? He's not really saying it's like crypto rug. He's saying, is this your version of it? Meaning you're not really giving people what's advertised and just taking their money. All right, he's not really saying it's the same thing as a crypto rug pull in there. Yes, he is comparing it to a rug pull in this way, but not in a way where it's like, oh, these are basically the same thing.
This post that equates Creator Clash to a crypto rug pull. He's saying the event is going
to... Anisa is a terrible person, a wretched friend, and an even worse organizer. Creator Clash 3 about to make TanaCon look like the Golden Globes. Okay, and you're actually upset about this?
This post that equates Creator Clash to a crypto rug pull. He's saying the event is going to be worse than TanaCon. Can't wait for them to blame us for their failed event. Don't worry, Hila. I'm not going to blame you guys for anything Creator Clash related. I know you're terrified of taking accountability for anything, so that will rest solely on my shoulders. But I can't speak.
Okay, you can say that, you can act like you've taken full accountability, but again, in the past, I've heard you say that pirating was a big part of why Creator Clash 2 did not donate any money to charity, and you never really mentioned the fact that you flew a bunch of people out unnecessarily who weren't involved in the event, paid for hotels for them, threw massive gala parties, right? I've not really heard him say that's the reason why Creator Clash 2 did not make money. That would be taking full accountability. So, based off your track record, I'm not putting a lot of stock in him saying that, oh, he's going to take full accountability for this one.
For the internet. The internet might actually blame you guys for it. Now, with this recent revelation that people are just going to use Creator Clash to attack Anisa and I, Anisa and I have decided to step away from Creator Clash. We have relinquished control to our business partners who ran the previous 2 events. They're very capable. They know exactly what they're doing. They run events on a regular basis. The event is still happening.
So I'm going to take full responsibility, but also I'm passing off the handling of it to somebody else. All right.
Anisa and I just don't have any financial ties. We don't have any ownership. We are, you know, I think just going to be known as the founders of the event.
Wait, so did he sell off the rights to Creator Clash to these people then? Because I remember him at one point saying that somebody had offered to buy Creator Clash from him and Anisa, and they declined that. Now, the way he's talking, it sounds like he has no ownership of it anymore. Like he would have sold it. And if that's the case, man, he must feel really, really dumb for not selling at the time when it was initially asked, because he would have made so much more money. I mean, now Creator Clash's name is hardly worth anything. After the first one, it was worth some money.
Yeah, I mean, I think it had to come to this eventually. I can't keep my mouth shut. I can't, I mean, I can. I just didn't want to. I want to be frank. I want to be honest.
Sounds like you need a button, Ian.
I was very quiet during the second Creator Clash because I was afraid of how that would impact other people. This year I said I'm going to do something different. I'm going to fight back if someone's trying to attack me. So that's what I did.
Also, were you really quiet the first time around? You definitely had stuff to say about Froggy Fresh and kicking him. So I feel like you should have known getting into this sort of drama has the potential to hurt the event. Because I'm pretty sure the Froggy Fresh stuff hurt the event. Lots of people were upset that he kicked Froggy Fresh.
I'm going to fight back if someone's trying to attack me. So that's what I did. And now I've realized, like, I can't really have my cake and eat it too. It's either you're gonna talk shit like a foul beast on the internet, or you're gonna have a charity event. You know, it really...
A foul beast, sort of like a goblin? I don't know, I think foul beast is a pretty fair description of a goblin.
Like a foul beast on the internet, or you're going to have a charity event. You know, it really can't be both. I'm very proud of the event that we made with Creator Clash. It's still happening, June 28th. I'm just not going to be involved in it. Please, for the love of God, support this event. You know, I feel like in some ways I'm like cutting off an arm so that I could escape the bear trap, and so I can fight. Well, that's a bad analogy. You guys get it. We've already told all...
Yeah, that was a bad analogy. The nice thing about edited videos is you could have cut that whole part out.
All the fighters, and it seems like most people understand that this is the best move. If the previous content cop was entertaining to you, or this video is entertaining, or you like the message, the best thing that you can do, for me, is to support Creator Clash. Buy a ticket, buy a pay-per-view ticket, an in-person ticket, or donate to the fundraiser. I just want to see this event do well. You know, I didn't try this shit because I thought I was going to be a good boxer. I didn't think I would be an awesome event organizer. And, you know, now I'm finally back to where I started, which is making fucking content cop videos. I don't want to make this too ham-fisted, but I kind of do want to make it ham-fisted because I'm like, I spent my last fucking 4 years working on this stupid boxing shit. I mean, it was worth it, absolutely, but like, it's crazy that I've just returned to content cop. Having said all that, Creator Clash ticket link down in the description. Go check it out, buy tickets, support the charity, support the fighters, and have a good-ass time. I mean, ultimately...
Why did he not do any of this in the first content cop about H3? in the first 5 minutes of this video, he's done more promo for Creator Clash 3 than he did in the entirety of the original Content Comp. Why is he just doing this now? I'm sure this will get decent viewership, but the first one's almost at 7 million views. This one's at almost 600,000 in, what was it, 6 hours? So, yeah, I mean, it might be decent promotion if everybody is not just angry and hate watching this, because, again, these are not accurate, but it says 74 upvotes to 65 downvotes, or 74,000 to 65,000.
Ultimately, I think it's a good thing because I think I am meant to roll around in shit. I think me and Ethan are both meant to be rolling around in pig shit all day long, and other people.
Maybe you should have done that, some mud wrestling instead of boxing. I think the boxing is pretty played out. Mud wrestling, you might have gotten some interest and viewership for that.
People are meant to do boxing or debating or whatever else. Ethan and me, pig shit rolling around type of fellas.
You underestimate my strength!
Okay, and you're saying this now that, oh, Ethan and I were meant to roll around in the pig crap. But then why are you surprised that he responded in the way that he did? If this is what you think he's supposed to do, why on earth are you surprised by his response?
I've got kosher strength! The will of Allah! I mean Yahweh! Yahweh!
I think the worst criticisms I labeled at Ethan is that he's a bad boss, a tyrant of a boss. I just implied that he was being taken advantage of by people either in his community or outside of his community, and I called him a bitch-made coward. That was like the summary of personal insults labeled at Ethan. Before Ethan even knew what my video was about, he was already framing me as anti-Semitic.
But he's like, no, actually, Ethan, the fucking Jew bag. Fuck this Jew bag Zionist baby killer, guys, right?
I don't know if that's what the video is.
I'm one of you.
Yeah, this is a fair enough point, and this is why it's good that Ethan has Dan, because it's the same thing I was thinking. Is like, you know, either watch it now or don't. But just guessing at what Ian is going to say in this video, all it can really do is real take away. Like maybe you guess exactly right what he's going to say, but chances are you get some of it wrong, and then people can use it in clips like this.
I fucking hate Jews too, guys. Let's get after it. Israelis have no right to defend themselves, actually. All Israelis are settlers, actually. What is he going to give me a history lesson now? Is he a historian? Yeah, he just discovered empathy, by the way, and only extends to the point where you're actually talking about Jewish people or Israelis. Then empathy stops and they should all be murdered. Bro's actually out there like Timothy McVeigh. He's running to the closest fucking kindergarten to blow it up. There's a Jew. I heard there's a Jewish.
That's not what Timothy McVeigh did.
They want all you guys to quit and for me to just be like alone, little Jew boy, alone.
Like Ethan under a year ago.
Why did he have such low quality versions of all those clips? I thought maybe it was my video for a second, but no, now we come back to iDubbbz and it looks fine. It's so blurry. It looked fine on the original broadcast. I don't know how he got clips that look so bad.
Was saying he doesn't use anti-Semitism in that way. He's not a guy to call anything and everything anti-Semitic.
You know, in my whole life, I've never screamed foul on anti-Semitism. I literally have been getting this shit since the second I stepped foot on the internet, and I have never fucking ever done this, okay? So the people online, they're saying, oh, Ethan's making himself a victim or Ethan's making everything about anti-Semitism. I've done this once in my life right now.
But he's like, no, actually, Ethan, the fucking Jew bag. Fuck this Jew bag Zionist baby killer, guys, right?
I don't know if that's what the video is.
I mean, I get that.
Well, yeah, isn't that what he's saying? Like, up until this reigniting of the Israel-Palestine conflict and how polarized people online are about it, he didn't really want to point to anti-Semitism. But at this point in time, he does think a lot of the harassment and negative coverage that he gets is just anti-Semitism, right? I think that's what he was saying there.
That he's scared and offended, but this was the whole fucking point of my video, Ethan. I was saying that you shouldn't be doing this. It led to me making this video in the first place. You were triggered by this CPS harassment thing, and then you immediately equated Anisa and I to it. That was sloppy, and that was horrendous, and it was horrendous for us.
Did he equate you guys to it, or was he upset that you seemingly didn't have much sympathy for it and said that he needed to get a therapist to deal with being upset about CPS being called on his house.
And now you're doing it again.
I'm gonna watch it live.
Should you?
Yeah, I mean, I don't care. But like, why?
I just don't think. I feel like you're gonna get really emotional and say something you regret.
Well, I've got the button.
Like, I know you don't have a problem taking it head on, but I just feel
Of course
like
not, because I know that
you're
whatever...
understandably upset, and I feel like it might be a little.
Should we wait to talk about it, or you want to talk about it?
You should do it off stream. Because I don't know. This escalated initially because we were live and you guys were heated about. I forget what it was.
I just think it might be wise to watch it, think out your thoughts, and respond in a calm way. Because there's no chance that you don't get heated.
I don't need to fucking pre-watch this. I don't need someone else to hold my hand through it. Like, I'm ready to take on anything that these people have to say about me. He's like, no, actually, Ethan, the fucking Jew bag. Fuck this Jew bag Zionist baby killer, guys. I'm one of you. I fucking hate Jews too, guys.
You attacked us, so I attacked back, and now you're acting surprised and shocked, and you're doing it all on your...
You mean kind of like how you're acting surprised and shocked how he responded? It sounds like we just got a couple of dummies here who don't know how to navigate their relationship. Which, if that's your point, saying that both of you guys are not very good at navigating this relationship that you have with each other, then sure, yeah. Because I've said this before, I think it was really weird just how surprised Ethan was that the content cop was on him. I didn't think it was going to be on him. I thought there was a chance of it, but I didn't think it was going to be about it. But I mean, he was completely blindsided and flabbergasted, which I don't think he should have been after how Ian and Anisa responded to him asking for them to come out and vouch for him as a parent and that sort of thing. At that point, he should have thought, I think at the very least there are some cracks in this relationship. If not, the friendship is over at this point.
Attacked back, and now you're acting surprised and shocked, and you're doing it all on your podcast live. So naturally, you reacting live is you having an emotional reaction and seeing things that honestly are scary.
I just said I vented about them not defending me. What the fuck is he like? He's actually losing his shit and I just can't believe it, dude.
Should you call him up?
So go fuck yourself.
I agree. Fair weather friends who are so happy to be friends as long as they're getting something out of it.
Ian sucks for the same reason right now. He could say something
spineless. Our POV is like, fuck everybody, and I don't want to hear any excuses. You're not my friend, and you never were, and you never will be. You never will be.
What's very insane about this content cop is I was thinking about Ethan's feelings so much in that video. I thought about the idea of like how I shouldn't be saying the term Zionist or Zionism in that video, because I was like, he has explained before that that's personally insulting to him and he doesn't like that. Regardless of how true it is, I was like, I'm going to think about Ethan's feelings and not mention this. Fast forward.
Okay, so I mean, what is the point of doing that if you're just going to say whether or not I think that's true? So it seems like you think it's true that he is a Zionist. Maybe Ian's not saying that for sure, but that's how that came across to me there. But I mean, I understand why Ian would be upset at Ethan and Hila venting or whatever you want to call them. I think it's fair to say it's probably a little bit more than venting. They're completely crapping on Ian and Anisa. And it makes sense that Ian would make the content cop from that perspective. But from the perspective of keeping Creator Clash 3 or trying to make it a success, there I think it's really dumb. And if you're going to be upset that he did that Ethan and Hila vented about you, well, you did the content cop about it, right? So I don't think either of you guys can really say that at this point. Like, you've gone back and forth enough times where it's like, neither of you have clean hands.
To him reacting to my video, he's just outright calling me a fucking Nazi.
Is it a coincidence that Ian really shaved his head just before doing this video and he's holding a swastika one? I mean, we can free Palestine without being a Nazi. You fucking Nazis. How about that? Well, this is the white savior, Ian, who's just...
I mean, again, are we taking this serious? I know you stopped telling jokes, Ian, but not everybody else stopped telling jokes completely.
Found empathy, unless you're Jewish, of course.
Ethan, people are allowed to shave their head and not be called anti-Semitic. I mean, if you're gonna critique his podcast or be pissed off that he personally insulted you, even that is enough to be called anti-Semitic. It's fucking crazy. Now, I don't want to talk about Hassan's sword. I don't want to talk about Hassan's sword hilt because Ethan himself basically admitted already multiple times he doesn't think any of us did that intentionally. And he would be right.
Do I think any of them actually like wanted to put a swastika in the photo? No, no. I don't actually think that. The chances that they did on purpose.
Okay, but so you think those, what I'm pretty sure are jokes when he was saying about Ian shaving his head. He thinks those are serious, even though Ethan here is saying, oh, look, I don't actually think he's a neo-Nazi just because of the swastika sword, right? I don't know. I did watch the Ethan Hassan debate. I don't know if he actually said that he doesn't think the head shaving thing is, but I would imagine he doesn't actually think the head shaving has any significance.
This is close to zero, right? So I'm not accusing them.
I picked up a random sword in Hassan's room that was laying around. That could be the end of the discussion. You don't actually need to debate Hassan about the sword hilt.
He lifted it up.
Decision making.
Okay, but see, before you said, oh, I want to be careful and not say that he's a Zionist or anything like that. But then I am going to post a picture with a sword where the hilt definitely looks like a swastika. Right? You want to act like, oh, I was so intentional in this other aspect, but then here, oh, it's just completely random. I don't know.
If it was a mistake, he could have deleted it.
But I'm not going to delete the...
Because even Hassan, when H3 and crew pulled up clips where Hassan himself, who bought the sword, referred to it as a swastika sword. And I want to say there was somebody else in those clips. Oh, yeah, it was... Oh, I can't remember. One of those Australian guys. I made a thing or something like that. Boy, maybe. I think that's like a group thing. Boy. I can't remember for sure. But they were over at Hassan's house, and they also noticed right away, oh, hey, this is like a swastika sword. So I don't think there's any way that you completely didn't notice that.
He lifted it up.
Decision making.
If it was a mistake, he could have deleted it.
But I'm not going to delete the photo because that would be indulging in your weird anti-Semitic fantasies.
We can free Palestine without being a Nazi. You fucking Nazis. How about that?
I'm done being nice to Ethan. I gave it a chance. My sincerity...
What do you mean? I think Ian is completely in his right to make the content cop. I still think it sucked. But what do you mean you tried to be nice? When Ethan originally reached out to you guys and said, hey, it would be really nice if you could publicly support me after all this CPS stuff and like the height of our harassment through our entire careers. And you guys said you didn't want to do that. And then you went on your podcast and talked about how he needs a therapist. And if you guys said anything, it would just be piling on. And you didn't want to do that. Just don't act nice. All right. You do whatever you want. Make the messy content. I mean, I've made lots of content out of it. I'm all here for it in that regards. But just don't act like you're being nice. That's so obnoxious.
I'm done being nice to Ethan. I gave it a chance. My sincerity and my empathy in that last video was real. I was even equating to him having crash out moments in the same way that Denims could have crash out moments. I think we're all capable of it, but he was using it.
Yeah, well, Ian, you might not get this, but nobody on Earth wants to be compared to Denims. So that's not a compliment. That's not downplaying an insult. That's, if anything, that's adding to the insult that you would compare it to Denims.
In the video to suggest that I was making fun of his mental health.
To my good friend Ian of 8 years, I really appreciate you weaponizing my mental health against me.
To make Ethan crash out. He's having a parasocial weird crash out. People can have crash out moments. Maybe if Ethan's able to get some help. Dude, I'm not making fun of your mental health. Every example you used was me basically saying that.
But he didn't say making fun there. He said weaponizing. Which, again, it was like now the third time I'm bringing it up. In your podcast with Anisa, you said he needs to go to therapy. I would say you're weaponizing his mental health there. It's like, oh, the only reason you're acting like this, Ethan, is because your mental health's not all there and you need to talk to a professional. I don't see how that's not weaponizing his mental health. And the clips you showed, Ethan was saying weaponizing, not making fun. Or, let me listen back. Maybe he did.
Of his mental health.
To my good friend Ian of 8 years, I really appreciate you weaponizing my mental health against me.
To make Ethan crash out. He's having a parasocial, weird crash out. People can have crash out moments. Maybe if Ethan's able to get some help. Dude, I'm not making fun of your mental health. Every example you...
Yeah, he didn't say making fun. He said weaponizing, which you just did in the podcast and in that clip. Again, here you're saying he needs mental health help.
Used was me basically saying that other people are trying to affect you. It's understandable that you're going through this right now, Ethan. We all go through this.
To characterize anything I'm doing as crashing out, that I need help, that I need to get some kind of treatment, is cruel and pathetic on a level I didn't think he would ever be possible of doing.
Every fucking example that you tried to smear me with was me actually pointing to something else that could be effective.
Okay, maybe I'm wrong. To me, smear means that there's a lie. You're lying to make somebody look bad. Maybe I'm wrong about that definition. I don't think just talking about somebody in a way that makes them look bad or talking about somebody in a disparaging way, I don't think that's smearing. I think there has to be some lie there. And I've not seen you pick out any lies yet. Unless you're saying when he was talking about how before he watched the video and he's saying, "Oh, he's gonna call me a Jew bag and all that stuff." If that's what you're calling the smear, maybe. I don't know. He wasn't really saying that definitively, but I don't know. Maybe I could kind of see that if that's what he's talking about.
Smear me with was me actually pointing to something else that could be affecting you. He even brought up the clip of me saying, if you get help, we all need help. Everyone on this planet needs help. I don't care how you get it. You can wander into the jungle and go on an ayahuasca trip. I don't care how you get your help or what you define as help. But if it helps you, that would be good. Because right now it doesn't seem like you're getting much help. The main criticism...
Sure. There probably are things that Ethan could do to help his mental state right now. I think anybody is going to be on edge when a bunch of people in a community that hate him to his core push these narratives that CPS needs to be called and then actually call CPS. I would like to know the parent that would not be super upset when that happens. I mean, unless you're some meth addict who doesn't care about your kids and pay attention to them at all, I don't know how that you could not be super on edge after that. Like, yeah, maybe therapy would help a little bit, but I don't think it's going to make that significant of a difference.
That I was seeing online with my video from Ethan and Hila is that I didn't mention the CPS call.
There's really just one central point that I want to make here. My good friend Ian, in his hour-long takedown, did not mention one time Child Protective Services. Not one time.
There was not even one mention of CPS.
And a lot of the clips he uses is us fired up from the day that CPS came to us.
So, like,
without even explaining that at least that's the context, it's pretty cowardly.
I wonder why I wouldn't mention the CPS call. Could it be that the CPS call happened the same day that you were shit-talking me, and I didn't have any chance to defend myself? You just immediately, in the same podcast, right next to each other, said, CPS call was very traumatic, and then you said, fuck Ian and Anisa, and you linked those together.
Right. Because unless I'm mistaken, at least Anisa and Ethan had text conversations about the CPS stuff already. And Ian and Anisa decided that they didn't want to say anything publicly to vouch for Ethan and Hila. So that's why they were upset. And that's why it is bizarre that you didn't mention in it, because that is why they were upset with you guys and didn't want to pursue the friendship anymore.
Together, you kind of layered those flavors, and then Anisa and I got a bunch of harassment. We had nothing to do with the CPS call. What are all these fucking comments?
Nobody thinks Ian and Anisa called CPS. It's just crazy that you wouldn't mention that in the video, because it's central to why Ethan and Hila were so mad at Ian and Anisa.
on your Reddit saying like, it happened because of the CPS call. I don't entirely blame your audience for getting confused because number one, it's a fucking cult. And number two, you can't even get the timeline straight. So if anyone's watching your dumbass, their brain is also gonna get scrambled.
Be friends as long as they're getting something out of it.
So again, he's
Struggling to recall the context of him crap talking our intentions as friends.
not showing the context. What was the okay, I'll play this part. Did you guys ever find the context of what I was talking about here? Because I feel like I wasn't even talking about him. I could be wrong. I just don't remember ever saying like, if I did say that.
Okay, well, there's no way this is Ethan talking about when he blasted you guys.
So if anyone's watching your dumbass, their brain is also gonna get scrambled.
Be friends as long as they're getting something out of it.
So again, he's not showing the context. What was the okay, I'll play this part. Did you guys ever find the context of what I was talking about here? Because I feel like
Yeah, I need more of this initial clip
Right?
here.
So if anyone's watching your dumbass, their brain is also gonna get scrambled.
Be friends as long as they're getting something out of it.
so again, he's not showing the context. What was the okay, I'll play this part. Did you guys ever find the context of what I was talking about here? Because I feel like I wasn't even talking.
Yeah, I don't know if he's talking about something more specific or just that stream in general. Because yeah, if he's talking about the whole stream in general, he definitely should know that he was mad about the CPS stuff. But it would be very crazy to me if Ethan does not remember that had anything to do with CPS. But if he did, that is a huge L. But I can't tell because there's only 3 seconds of the initial thing that Ethan's reacting to there. I don't know if it's a more specific point that he wants context for or just the stream more generally.
Talking about him. I could be wrong. I just don't remember ever saying like, if I did say that,
I thought you were talking about them, about Anisa and Ian in that clip.
That's the same clip of
It's all the
when
part of the same
CPS was
clip.
called.
Yeah.
Same clip.
It's part of the same conversation.
Okay, yeah, so he wasn't sure if that was part of the CPS segment there. That's what it sounds like. Maybe you think he's fibbing there? But yeah, that makes more sense then. He did not realize that was all part of the same segment.
Completely wiped your brain of what happened during the CPS stream. That's not my fucking fault. That's no one else's
Okay, wait, now it's the CPS stream though? Before it wasn't worth bringing up, but now it's the CPS stream. Okay.
fault but yours.
All I wanted for you to do was say the bare minimum of like, hey, this is fucked up. This is not true about CPS, whatever, like the bare minimum. It came up because they were
Muddying the timeline, you attacked us before any CPS visit. Okay. So is this the distinction that he's trying to make? Okay, so the pooping, feeding his kids poop narrative was popular this time, but CPS had not been called. But CPS was called because of the poop eating narrative. Okay, so that's Ethan reached out to Anisa or talked to Anisa because Froggy Tonic had been spreading the poop eating narrative along with Denims and Bad Empanada and those people. Oh, yeah, okay. So it really is that the distinction that he's trying to make there? Yeah, so it's technically you can say it's not the CPS call itself, but it's why CPS was called. I don't think that's very meaningful, man. Because the crux of the feeding his kids poop thing is that he would be a bad parent, and CPS was called because he was a bad parent. And your friends pushing that narrative, and he wanted you to vouch for him, and you didn't. And then CPS was called for the things that they were talking about there. Is that the clarification to the timeline that Ian is trying to make? I don't know why he wouldn't just lay this out more clearly. I think that's what he's trying to say here.
true about CPS, whatever.
And if that is all he's trying to say, I mean, wow, huge difference.
Like the bare minimum. It came up because they were talking about it on their fucking podcast.
Extreme timeline confusion. We expressed sympathy for Ethan and Hila on our podcast 4 days after he attacked us. Look, I mean, you can call that sympathy if you want to. It was very condescending, and you told him he needed the therapist. Like, if you want to frame that like, oh, we were being good friends, you can go ahead and do that. I think it's pretty obvious to anybody who watched that podcast that's not what was going on.
By the way, they're the ones that like started this conversation by talking about it on the podcast, be like, hey, I'm not getting involved.
I think that was their response after you guys initially called them out.
This is what I was talking
Okay, so it got corrected there too. Like, Ethan was wrong about the timeline, but it was instantly corrected.
about. You cannot have something terrible happen, be like, yes, let's make some content, and then shit talk your friends of 8 years.
I'm so fired up, I don't even know what to do with myself, which is why I'm crying.
So now you're friends of 8 years? I guess weren't really friends. That's what I've heard Ian say before.
And then shit talk your friends of 8 years.
I'm so fired up, I don't even know what to do with myself, which is why I'm crying. On the other hand, I don't know if that's a good state to be in life.
That's that. Hila, kind of spitting.
And a lot of the clips he uses is us fired up from the day that CPS
yes.
came to us.
For anyone confused about the timeline, Ethan was talking shit about us on his Instagram.
Okay, there we go. This is what we should have started with.
For anyone confused about the timeline,
Ethan discovers Froggy Tonic's tweets, and those were the tweets where he said that Ethan contributed to the death of Shredder by feeding him cheese, and that he was getting his kids sick with Giardia by having an unclean house where they were getting poop in their mouths. So then Ethan begins to publicly attach this editor's statement to iDubbbz. Then the call to CPS happens.
Was talking shit about us on his Instagram.
Wait. Okay, where's the stream where he says he doesn't want to be friends with you guys anymore? Because he said CPS call hadn't happened yet.
Before any CPS shit, he was also talking shit about us on his podcast before any CPS visit. On March...
Okay, so then Ethan craps on iDubbbz on his Instagram and on his podcast. CPS visit, Ethan and Hila talk about CPS, then... Okay, so yeah, it is after the CPS. And you know, the thing is, if you didn't want to say anything when they reached out to you about their kids are getting sick from poop being around the house narrative, and that's why CPS is called, they already know your opinion on this, right? Like, do you expect them to reach out again after that? Oh, hey, it just ramped up a little bit more. CPS was actually called. It's not just people saying that CPS should be called anymore. And then you were going to vouch for him, right? Like, there's no reason for them to think that your opinion's meaningfully going to change there. That they know where you stand. They're done with the friendship.
7th, CPS visits Ethan and Hila, and that same day, they decide, let's do our podcast, and let's have the topic be the CPS visit and how distraught we are about that. And then right next to that, right after it, you guys talk about me and Anisa. But you don't just talk about us. You shit talk us, and you imply that we're friends with people who are doing this, who are the ones who are harassing you.
Do you have evidence that H3 Snark called CPS on you?
Did I say
like
that?
Random anonymous Redditors?
Did I say that?
Wait, what's the...
I said
So
they're
who called
primary
CPS?
responsible for harassing me.
Who called CPS?
What the fuck? So, I don't know.
To be honest, I'm very proud that...
Does he actually have a clip of Ethan saying that Snark did it? Because a title and a thumbnail, that does not mean anything to me. That's trying to get clicks, right? Because if I'm going to criticize people for their thumbnails and fudging the truth there, then I have to take down a lot of thumbnails, all right? A lot of titles. So I can't really do that. I don't think it's a meaningful criticism. Unless somebody is blatantly lying about something in the thumbnail or the title, I just don't care, right? It is going for a snappy title there. And besides that, Snark, the fans of Denims, Bad Empanada, Hassan, all those people that are in those circles and hate Ethan, you can kind of just lump those in to Snark, H3 Snark. I think that's a fair enough title. And it's pretty obvious that somebody in those circles called CPS, right? I mean, can we prove that it was somebody on the Snark subreddit that did? No, but I mean, I think maybe I think I saw some of this where he's going to say it's just because of the way Ethan talks on his podcast that people called CPS. I don't buy that. I don't buy that. I am pretty confident that it was somebody in the H3 Snark, Bad Empanada, Denims, Hassan circles. To me, that just seems intuitively obvious, but maybe people disagree.
Didn't immediately jump to Ethan and Hila's defense because when you look into the story, it actually looks a lot shittier for Ethan and Hila. And I do mean that literally. There was this H3 stream where Ethan was dumping as per usual. He was talking about his own health. He was talking about his caca breath, his dog having diarrhea, his dog having giardia.
Olive has giardia. It's a bacterial infection in the intestines that makes you have diarrhea.
His child running around putting things in their mouth.
Sonny's crawling around. He's putting everything in his mouth. He's at that age. He has giardia.
The whole family possibly having giardia.
Oh,
And now Hila has giardia.
Shut. For real?
And now I think this morning I had diarrhea.
Oh my God.
Jeez, what can I do to not get it from you?
I'm trying
to.
Because I'm not trying to get it.
No, it's extremely ridiculous to get. You have to ingest my poop.
Talking about the viscosity of his child's shit.
And meanwhile, he is covered in viscous, low viscosity diarrhea.
He mentioned diarrhea a lot.
Crazy diarrheas like in the middle of the night. All the time he's having these crazy diarrheas. You wash your hands as best you can, but these are really nasty diarrheas. And then extremely foul smelling diarrheas.
So of course, Ethan, having made so many enemies over the years, other people react to his content. And when other people see that he's talking about...
So you don't even think it's his fans then? You do think it's his enemies who would have seen that call CPS? Yeah, I think it's fine to just lump all of those people into Snark. Unless you're trying to say that I think it was a genuine H3 fan who was concerned about this, this is a distinction without a meaningful difference to me.
About his children getting giardia from dog poop.
Sonny's crawling around. He's putting everything in his mouth. He's at that age. He has giardia.
People are quite reasonably concerned. And so, yes, anyone who's seeing that content might be concerned enough to...
Doo-doo family, caca Kleins. Bro, the Klein household always going crazy with nasty stuff. So do you think these are the type of people that called CPS? I don't really get the impression that someone who would call CPS would leave comments like that. They seem like they're more laughing at the grossness and absurdity of this.
And so, yes, anyone who's seeing that content might be concerned enough to call CPS, including Ethan's own chat, which, by the way, is not a...
What is happening in your house? The Klein household equals Chernobyl. Ethan eats poo.
Measly number. It's about 20...
Ethan has poop hands. Okay. See, I think he kind of gave it away earlier when he said that Ethan's made a lot of enemies. Like, yeah, somebody who doesn't like Ethan and more than likely either watches Bad Empanada and or Denims and or Hassan and or goes on the H3 Snark page called CPS.
Including Ethan's own chat, which, by the way, is not a measly number. It's about 26,000 at the time of this stream. So there are 26,000 people listening to Ethan go into great detail over 7 or 8 minutes about diarrhea, viscosity of diarrhea, his child having giardia, him and his whole family having giardia. They're calling it the poop house. Now, what Ethan does, instead of taking any responsibility for sharing too much on his live stream, is that he decides to attack specific creators like Denims and say she was the source of the CPS call because her chat was reacting to Ethan and saying, wow, this is concerning.
Right, because Denims watched Bad Empanada talk about it and say that Ethan was allowing his kids to eat poop, put poopy things in their mouth or whatever it was. And she's just like, oh, wow. Every time I hear about this guy, it gets worse. She didn't push back at all. She ate it up and went along with everything that Bad Empanada said.
On her platform right now, advocating for our children.
Right. Okay. Ethan is attempting to smear Denims, who did not condone CPS call. I don't care if she doesn't condone the CPS call. That's the easiest take ever, right? You fed into the narrative that was the reason CPS was called. So after the fact, you're like, oh, I don't think CPS should have been called. I don't really care because you completely fed into that.
to be forcibly removed from us by Child Protective Services.
The problem with this CPS thing is that Ethan has proven to be a manipulative piece of shit. So when he calls on me to defend him, what the fuck am I meant to do? I don't trust you, and I'm glad I didn't trust you, because in your video defending yourself, you used a video that takes context from like 3 different places and combines them to make...
What are these 3 different places? Because from what I've heard is that Ethan said this was just a screenshot of a segment of Denim's chat. But that's not the case. And from what I heard, it was people assembled different segments of Denim's chat. Because if it's all still just Denim's chat, I don't really care. Like, yeah, it makes it seem a little bit worse if it's all back to back to back. It's like, oh, wow, her chat's 100% on board with this. Instead of, oh, they had to assemble these, and I guess her chat's only 82% on board with this. So are you going to say that it's from places other than just Denim's chat? Or that they compiled chats from Denim's stream?
That takes context from like 3 different places and combines them to make it seem like someone is coordinating an attack on you.
Love made a good point. You said, is this every comment? I believe this is a live feed of the chat. This isn't edited.
What about the top right? I thought these were
No,
selected.
it's this, I think when you full screen it, no, this is an edit. It's a cutout of the full chat. It's just enlarged there.
Oh, really?
Over the screen, yeah.
They're different, I think.
Yeah.
It's not timed. It's not timed the same way.
But it sounds like based on this clip, you knew that it was bullshit and you just went with it anyway. Ethan Klein uses this very deceptively edited video that is just like doing this smooth scroll to make it seem like that's all of Denim's chat. But that's not what it is. And then
where else is it from besides Denim's chat?
When he's called out on it, he hides it. He moves his window over the real chat.
Also, this is not a joking matter, by the way. It can be very severe and deadly to small children. I mean, much like many other illnesses.
Reading the chat, co-signing
it's
it.
very, very, very dangerous.
Now pay
So
attention
I would
to
assume he
her
doesn't actually
chat.
have a housekeeper anymore, or perhaps he lost his extra housekeeper. So now the house is just like covered in dog shit. And he has kids, and his kids like...
Why?
So they moved Ethan's camera from being on top of the person they were watching to not on top of the person they were watching. Like, I can see what you're saying, but unless you're going to tell me that any of these messages came from somewhere besides Denim's chat, I just don't care. And I'm going to assume the producers moved Ethan because he was on top of Denim's. Like, I can see where you're coming from with that, but I'm pretty sure it's just because he was on top of Denim's.
Why does it have to be anyone else's fault but your own? Take some fucking responsibility. It's just so bizarre that Ethan would expect Anisa and I to make a statement when Denim's herself already made a statement about it and said that she does not condone calling CPS.
So we're talking about CPS. 1, I don't condone. 2, I've never condoned it, and you will not be able to find a clip of me saying, yes, we should do this, because it doesn't exist. I've literally given Ethan...
Right, you're just going to feed into the idea that everything Bad Empanada says is true, and if everything Bad Empanada says is true, it would make sense that CPS should be called, right? But no, I would never explicitly say you should call CPS. I would just do everything that leads up to somebody logically coming to the conclusion that CPS should be called.
Ethan Klein credit on multiple times or multiple instances, and I will do it again right now, for not showing photos of his kids.
Part of my criticisms of Ethan initially was the openness. I think it's a problem that you are that open, Ethan.
Well, you know I'm very open about everything. It's part of how I wanted to conduct myself and how I wanted to relate to the audience, is to be open as possible about every fucking thing in my life.
It is not strictly a benefit to be as open as possible on your podcast.
Ethan was just sharing his thoughts, what we were thinking, we were speculating.
Sonny's crawling around. He's putting everything in his mouth. He's at that age. He has giardia.
We were speculating.
Oh,
and now Hila has giardia.
Shut.
Be open as possible about every fucking thing in my life.
Really? How many siblings do you have? I don't know, dude. The internet's too fucking weird to give out all that information.
Oh, you don't even want to say how many because you're afraid that it will somehow
by all means,
compromise
keep
your
talking
privacy.
about it.
On top of Ethan,
I mean, I kind of agree with Bill Burr there that there's no need to be that open about it. But if he wants to do that, he can do that. I would say nobody needs to hear that much about poop on podcast. That no matter how open you want to be, you can just leave the poop out of your podcast probably. But I mean, based on that story, I don't see how you think you take it into your hands and say, I'm going to call CPS unless you're a crazy person, right? Like, yeah, could Ethan have maybe prevented the CPS call if he didn't talk about that? Sure. But somebody else still has to take the insane step to call CPS, right? And the person who called CPS, I'm pretty sure the CPS person told Ethan that the person who called said that they were in the house. I'm pretty sure that they were more closely related, that they weren't just calling to some anonymous person. They were basically implying that they were maybe the nanny or something like that. I'm pretty sure the CPS guy told Ethan something along those lines. So it doesn't really matter if, yeah, he shouldn't have said that. The person who called into CPS lied and said they were more connected to the family than they really were. Like, that's completely unhinged and insane. So if they're willing to do that, it doesn't necessarily matter if Ethan doesn't talk about that, because the people who called CPS are willing to lie and say that they're more closely related to the family than they really are, and not that they just heard something on a live stream. Right? If they're willing to do that, it doesn't matter what he says. He could have never talked about his family, and then somebody calls in and poses as the nanny and says, "Oh yeah, this happened. You should go check. CPS, you should go check on these people."
Characterizing me and my wife as anti-Semitic, he also takes a dig at my tattoos.
Bro, you literally look like a fucking free tattoo pack that you get for 25 cents from a windy thing, bro. Like, literally, my kids have cooler fucking tattoos from Chuck E. Cheese. Bro looks like he just went to the menu and was like, I'll take that one, that one, that one, that one, that one, and that one.
I have quite a few options here. I can show your tattoos in all of their glory, or I can show that your tattoo made it to the top of awful taste but great execution.
Dude got this tattoo to surprise his wife. She has no idea what's coming. Oh, is that true? Did Hila really not know that Ethan was getting that tattoo? Oof, that is bad. The quote and the front are the icing on the cake. The greatest thing a man can do for his children is to love their mother. I mean, look, that is an awful tattoo. I don't know why you would get that, unless it was supposed to be like a joke, which really doesn't seem like it's supposed to be a joke. But all this is like a kamikaze insult, right? So, I mean, Ian, your tattoos are awful. This tattoo is awful. Oh, it doesn't seem like you're pushing back against that. You're just saying, well, no, you also have a terrible tattoo. Which, sure, fair. He has at least one bad tattoo. Oh, actually two, right? Yeah, these scribbles there. Yeah, those are pretty bad. Is that supposed to be like his kid's drawings or something? So he has two bad tattoos. Yeah, so it's a kamikaze insult. But you're way more covered in the tattoos than Ethan is, and yours are much more visible. I see Ian's tattoos all the time, pretty much no matter what he wears, and they look awful. I knew that Ethan got this tattoo. I'm pretty sure I heard about it. I wasn't sure if it was real, just because it is such a bad tattoo. But it seems like this is confirming that it is real. But I haven't ever seen it on the show. It seems like it just gets covered up by his clothes for the most part.
Execution subreddit, which is not a good thing. I mean, it might be a good thing for the execution subreddit, which is made it to the top of awful taste but great execution subreddit, which.
Oh, okay. So they're saying that the tattoo is well done. Is that like a good quality tattoo? I feel like just getting a person's face never turns out good. Maybe that is a good tattoo. I'm not for sure. To me, it just looks really off. But maybe that's just because of the format of ink on skin. You can't really make a portrait look all that good.
Which is not a good thing. I mean, it might be a good thing for the artists that you work with because that means that they did a good job from a technical standpoint, but it's sort of a failure in every other aspect, particularly the decision-making aspect. If you want to go tattoo.
Okay, sure. His are awful taste but great execution, and yours are awful taste but awful execution. I mean, this is not really a W for you. You can both take an L for this one if you want. I'll allow that. But you're definitely not getting a W for this.
Two for tattoo, Ethan. We can do that. You want to keep it to other things? We can. I'll give you that option. Ethan also talks about the potential CTE that I might have after boxing.
Yes.
Ethan, your whole system is scrambled.
No, your brain is scrambled from getting punched in the face too many times because you don't understand the situation. Some people are saying the CTE is starting to take effect, I guess. That would be comforting if there was some explanation, at least.
Any amount of CTE that I may have endured after doing 2 boxing matches, I'm going to say is preferred over having to share the load of doing 50 jumping jacks with my wife.
Yeah, what if we do both do them? We'll both do 25 at once.
25 each?
Oh my goodness.
Great form by both.
Really nice. They must work out.
Also, why are you talking about CTE at all? Like, you've continually...
Wait, so you're saying even if I have CTE, that's not as bad as doing jumping jacks on a show? I mean, look, that was cringe. I don't know why you would go and do jumping jacks like that in somebody else's show. That's strange. But I'm pretty sure having CTE would be worse than that.
Illustrated that you can't keep track of anything.
It came up because they were talking about it on their fucking podcast. By the way, they're the ones that like started this conversation by talking about it on the podcast. Be like, hey, I'm not getting involved.
I think that was their response after you guys initially called them out.
He can't even keep straight who attacked.
Yeah, I mean, he does get stuff on his live stream wrong decently often. That's gonna happen in a live show, and if somebody on the show is correcting him right afterwards, I don't really care that much unless he's pushing back and saying, "No, you're wrong. I was right with what I said before." It's like, yeah, he's doing a live show, right? You're doing edited videos, so it's way easier for you to be technically correct.
Who first? He thinks that our podcast where we're expressing sympathy for him and Hila was the impetus for him talking shit about us. I much prefer boxing-induced CTE than harassment-induced CTE. Ethan acts like...
Yeah. It's dumb to get those orders mixed up. Stop acting as if that podcast was you having sympathy for him. That is so obnoxious, man.
We're such great friends and that, like, he shared such intimate moments with me, but it's all horseshit. He's lying. Like, the whole thing is a fucking lie. He's manipulating his audience. We did not have...
Earlier, you said that he did something bad by talking about you guys on a podcast to friends of 8 years. So you don't get to say that and now make this point.
Lying. Like, the whole thing is a fucking lie. He's manipulating his audience. We did not have a close relationship.
You guys were buddies for a long time.
He texted me like one time, like, hey, dude, we should talk this out. And I was like, I don't feel like having this conversation right now.
Okay. I'm so sick of these text messages and DMs being referenced and not shown. I just want to see the DMs, the messages. What exactly was said?
To me like one time like, hey dude, we should talk this out, and I was like, I don't feel like having this conversation right now. That's it. So Ian kept trying to get me on the phone or text with me, and I told him, dude, honestly, I don't feel like having this conversation right now.
Okay,
fair, right? I just didn't want to do it. Okay?
Just in that particular moment, and then like at all?
Well, it turns out I didn't want to talk to him at all.
Okay.
If the relationship was that close, you would have talked to me on the phone. You wouldn't have...
But you guys had already texted, and he knew more or less where you guys stood on this point. Right? That's why he didn't want to call. There's not really any point.
Shit talked me, you would be curious where my brain was at and where I was coming from. There's this moment in the Content Cop where I'm trying to...
Well, no, because based off those text conversations, he was already ready to do what he did on that stream, where he's saying the friendship is over and done. I want nothing to do with Ian and Anisa. Right? So if he got enough from the text messages to have that opinion, what is a call going to do? Right? It's not going to change his opinion of your guys' reaction to what's going on and his request that you vouch for him.
To give an example of the cycle of harassment. Have you ever been in a comment section and found someone to argue with? It doesn't stop. It can literally go on forever if you don't want to touch grass.
I mean, yeah, this was kind of okay.
I don't know. A lot of the time, maybe for you personally, Ian, all right, speak for yourself. I've had plenty of back and forths that go on, 3-4 replies each, and the other person stops talking because they've been owned, all right? They've been completely destroyed. They have nothing else they can say. So maybe if you're a bad arguer, that's true. And in my experience, the other person eventually shuts up. Even there's this YouTuber, Glitch Poachers, and I am so sad that I did not screenshot these comments at the time. He made a video about Nick is not green. And I pushed back against just one specific point that he made in the video and said, I don't think this is what they were saying. I think it was more along these lines. And we went back and forth. And by the end of it, I made him feel like such an idiot that he deleted the entire comment thread. If you know Glitch Poachers, he's like, at least I would think he's one of these free speech types of guys. But he deleted that because he got so bodied by me, all right? And I am so sad that I don't have it, because not only does it show him being a loser who's afraid and deletes the comments, but that man is psychotic. Really, truly psychotic. Because he was upset that I did not disclose my political ideology to him when I made my initial point. And so he said I was like trying to subvert and deceive him by not coming out with that information first, instead of just arguing on the one specific point that I had with him. So I think, Ian, you're just bad at arguing, all right? When I argue with people, they delete their comments.
Hey, what does that have to do with me?
I don't know.
Are you okay?
Ethan and Hila act like they have no idea what I'm talking about here. So, I mean, maybe they don't. It's a very obvious...
I gotta go back a little bit.
Don't want to touch grass.
I mean, yeah, this was kind of
okay. What does that have to do with me?
I don't know.
Are you okay?
Ethan and Hila act like they have no idea what I'm talking about here. So, I mean, maybe they don't. It's a very obvious and easy to digest point. That's why I made it that way.
Okay. But what good is going and touching grass gonna do when you have real world consequences like CPS visiting you? That's why it's stupid. And he would ask, "Oh, what do they mean? What does that have to do with me?" Because yeah, he could go and touch grass, but he still has to talk to the guy from CPS, so it doesn't do him much good.
I'm going to explain it here so everyone on the internet understands. When you have a podcast where you are constantly emotionally dumping and saying things just off the top of your head, and you're attacking other people randomly, maybe from your perspective it's not attacking. Maybe you're just commenting on someone else's situation.
He's got to be one of the most visually repulsive people. FaZe Banks, like, in my opinion, he's somewhat repulsive to look at.
And being
pedophile. Pirate Software was like weird about it. It's like, look at my old voice, it's so lame. What an obnoxious loser. She goes, I can't believe these people are so obnoxious. And he looks like an idiot who's obsessed with me, dude.
But what happens when other people comment on your situation? It doesn't feel too good, does it?
But he's like, no, actually, Ethan, the fucking Jew bag. Fuck this Jew bag Zionist baby killer, guys, right?
I don't know if that's what the video is.
That is the back and forth I'm describing. You might have...
Well, generally, Ethan doesn't have much of a problem with all these people making videos and talking crap about it. Like, he takes it more or less in stride and matches their energy or more or less ramps it up. The reason that he was upset with you doing it is because he was under the impression that you guys were friends, right? It's not just that you talked crap about him. It's that he felt like you guys abandoned him as friends and then did a video talking crap about him. Obviously, that's going to be worse than Mika's Rhetoric making a video about him or Gokanaru making a video about him. That's what was upsetting to him.
Thought we were just saying that Ian and Anisa are bad friends. Well, guess what? We didn't take it that way.
Our POV is like, fuck everybody.
Did Ethan say that he didn't attack Ian and Anisa? If he did say that, that's idiotic. Yeah, he obviously attacked them on the podcast.
And I don't want to hear any excuses. You're not my friend, and you never were, and you never will be. You never will be.
What we took it as is Ethan and Hila are shit-talking us. They just implied that we are okay with people using CPS as harassment, and now all of their fans are brigading us. So I am going to respond in kind and make a content cop. So yes, that is what the cycle of harassment looks like.
Okay, what does that have to do with me?
I don't know.
How about you fucking Nazis? How about that?
You might think that all of the harassment you're getting has everything to do with your politics and your idea of Israel-Palestine, but a lot of my gripes were centered around you dragging me into your shit. You know, you knew that you were going through a lot, and you were saying, I'm hurting, I'm now going to make them hurt because they're not putting their head on the chopping block. Fuck you, you're a piece of shit. I'm sure there's...
Yeah, sure. If Ian wants to say specifically with him, it's not about the Israel-Palestine stuff, I can kind of see that. Like, I can understand why, based off what Ethan and Hila said on their live stream about Ian and Anisa, why he would be upset and want to make the content cop. But the reason that Ethan and Hila have gotten as much harassment as they have lately is undeniably because of their Israel-Palestine opinions, because they're not in lockstep 100% with the approved opinion on that, and that has led to them being harassed so much, and people like your former editor, Froggy Tonic, saying that Ethan killed his dog with shredded cheese and lets his kids eat poop off the floor. Right? And then you not wanting to vouch for them at all, or distance yourself from the editor, really, other than to just say, well, it's only a former editor, nothing along the lines of, and we don't believe anything that he says or anything like that. Yeah, that's why he's upset with you. Like, but to act like it's just completely irrelevant, I don't know. Given the fact that he brought in Hassan and Denims, I think it's kind of undeniable that Israel-Palestine is at least a part of it. How much of it? I don't know. And there's definitely an aspect of it that is personal, interpersonal stuff that isn't Israel-Palestine. But I think you got to say at least part of it is the Israel-Palestine stuff. Otherwise, why do you have people like Denims and Hassan in the Content Cop video?
Anti-Semitic people that are attacking you guys. But they're not me. They're not Anisa. It's not Hassan. It's not all of these other creators that you're attacking. You're not the biggest victim on the internet, Ethan. Other people can experience a horrible fucking time. And guess what? They're not getting this other benefit, which is 26,000 viewers. You're getting a lot of money and a lot of content, a lot of things that you care about from these beefs and from this harassment. There are a lot of people that you've just bullied and they have nothing to gain out of it. Frogan isn't making a bag from this. She's not getting content out of it.
Oh yeah, Frogan too. I forget about Frogan, but she was in the video as well.
And they have nothing to gain out of it. Frogan isn't making a bag from this. She's not getting content out of this. You're attacking her in relentless ways and endorsing so much worse harassment than what even you send her way.
The shit he said and posted about Frogan over the past years is
Very
like
mean.
insanely nasty shit.
Yeah.
Worse than anyone I've seen. If this is true, absolutely mind-blowing, insane shit.
Hold on, it's not worse than anything you've seen. How could it be worse than anything you've seen?
Literally, no. I guess
he was
not.
very nasty. Well, I'm just saying, people like fucking want to like get lay down and fucking like.
I'm talking about specifically against Frogan.
But like he called her fat, right, and ugly, which is horrifically mean. I get called a fucking baby killer.
I was talking specifically about
that's way
Frogan.
worse than being called fat and ugly, in my opinion.
Also, on top of Ethan and Hila constantly victimizing themselves.
Well, I don't think Ethan there is saying that he gets it worse than anybody else. He's just saying that Frogan doesn't have it the worst on the internet because some of the stuff that he gets is worse than what Frogan has. If Ethan says that he gets it worse than anybody on the internet, yeah, that's dumb. But it doesn't seem like that's what he was saying in the clips that you showed there. Just seems like he was saying he gets worse harassment than Frogan, which as a matter of scale, I think that's kind of undeniably true. Like, way more people hate hate Ethan than people who hate Frogan, right? There's probably more people who hate Ethan than there are people who know about Frogan.
I did notice that as soon as we didn't immediately jump to Ethan and Hila's defense, Ethan took that to heart and he started to make that his employees' problems. Instead of just, sucking it up and taking it on himself, he decided to imply that Lena is going to have a problem with that.
A lot of this has ramifications for the crew. The way that they have it set up is basically if Lena were to drop out, she would lose, she would have to pay back like $25,000 or something like insane. And besides that, which I told her I would cover if she wanted to drop out, she's been working really hard. And just because I'm having an issue with what's going on here.
You bringing up Lena dropping out of the fight was you publicly showing to your fans, I don't approve of this. You were saying this shit before the content cop even came out.
Which I told her I would cover if she wanted to drop out.
But now you are saying that you didn't have a problem with any of it until I made the video.
I was totally on board until the organizer put out a video calling me a psychopath for harassing.
Sure, it was before the content cop, but it was after you guys had the falling out, right? And that's why it's awkward. Like, if Ian would have had some solidarity with Ethan, then it wouldn't really be that awkward for Lena to be in Creator Clash. But now that Ethan and his crew are kind of opposed to Ian and Creator Clash, it's kind of weird, and you're going to have fans of Ian who are going to Creator Clash being mad at Lena. And, she's not going to be in the ideal headspace going into that fight if there's a bunch of people booing her right off the bat and that sort of thing. So that's why it comes up in the first place.
Asking his friend.
Obviously, Ethan and Hila will victimize themselves every chance they get, but when they have the chance to victimize someone else who's on their crew, they'll also do that.
You already forced Lena into this horrible situation. And again, you forced this situation on.
Wait, what is this? I'm going to win. You can count on that. When did this come out? It just says 23 minutes ago. Is this a new thing? Because I mean, that is weird if they I'm assuming that it's after the content cut because Nick Diario is saying what a weird fight to promote right now. So I'm assuming it's after the content cut stuff. And that is kind of weird that you would quote Lena right then.
Forced Lena into this horrible situation. And again, you forced this situation on her.
Why would I do?
And Ian admits that he put them in a terrible situation because he, at the very least, messaged AB, who is Lena's boyfriend or husband. I don't know if they're married or not. But as soon as the content cop went up, Ian texted AB and said, "Hey, I know I put you in a really weird spot with this. Sorry about that." Sorry, I mean, Ian is more or less, by doing that, admitted that, yeah, he is making it awkward for them.
And again, you forced this situation on her.
Oh, yeah. And also, I don't know if this came from H3 and crew. From what I've heard, the reason that Lena did decide to fully drop out is that Creator Clash or Ian and Anisa were saying you have to promote the fight, as best you can, or something along those lines. And that was what fully made it too weird for her, and she dropped out because of that. I don't know if that's confirmed or how true that is. That's what I had heard.
Why would I do such a thing to Lena? Dude, you have as much agency as I do. You didn't have to badmouth me on your podcast. That was a choice that you made.
So go fuck yourself.
I agree. My good fucking friends who I stood by after all these fucking years can't find a spine to speak up.
Oh, the organizers of this event are not jumping to my defense? All right, well, maybe instead of shit-talking them, maybe I should zip it.
So go fuck yourself.
I agree. You already forced Lena into this horrible situation. And again, you forced this situation on her. By the way, iDubbbz, Lena's fucking having a panic attack.
So go fuck yourself.
I agree.
But you're just lobbing it to me and Anisa. I'm lobbing it back to you. You're the one who brought it up. If you lob it back...
If you want to say Ethan should take some responsibility for making it an awkward situation for Lena, that's fair. But if you're saying you're lobbing it back as if it's all on Ethan and Hila, that's a little bit ridiculous, right? I think it makes total sense that if you basically denied that you want to vouch for Ethan and Hila at all, they'd be upset with you, like, okay, I guess we're not really friends. They're fake friends or fair weather friends. And then you respond to that, which is totally right and makes sense. I think you both need to take some blame for putting Lita in an awkward position there. Like, because everybody there, I think, acted it somewhat reasonably. I don't think iDubbbz and Anisa are obligated or should have to speak on behalf of H3 and say, oh, no, they're great parents or anything like that. Of course, it'd be nice if they did. It would be a nice sentiment. It's not going to do much of anything other than, be solidarity from the point of Ethan and Hila. They would feel good that a friend is publicly standing up for them. It's not going to accomplish anything other than that. But considering you're not going to do that, it makes sense that they'd be upset with you. And based off of how they talked about Ian and Anisa on their podcast, totally makes sense that Ian would want to make a content comp about him and, punch back. So I don't think either one of them can assign the blame for putting Lena in an awkward position to the other party. They both have to take responsibility for that.
Back to me and you say, well, I didn't have your back publicly. Well, fuck you. I'm going to lob it back and say, you're being irresponsible on your podcast and you're not taking any accountability for
being irresponsible on your podcast? Man. I mean, that really shows how far iDubbbz has fallen. You're not being responsible with your platform. Jeez.
Lob it back and say, you're being irresponsible on your podcast and you're not taking any accountability for the shit you're putting out online. I think that's going to do it for this video. There's a lot more that I can share, but I'll save that for the future. And in closing, I will reiterate so that, there's no ambiguity about it. Anisa and I are no longer involved in Creator Clash. We're stepping down completely. We hope that the event is a massive success this year. We hope that all of the fighters get what they wanted out of it. I'm sorry that I'm such a fucking nasty person who just wants to roll around in the shit. I'll put the link to Creator Clash down in the description if you want to support them in their mission to get creators to fight and raise money for charity. You can do that down there. I will be doing that on my own. And
the way he says that makes it seem like supporting Creator Clash, like buying tickets or something, is helping charity. But I'm pretty sure it does not at this point. It's just if you specifically donate on the page that's for donations, then it goes to charity. I think that's at like $30,000 so far. But I don't think buying tickets or anything to the event helps charity.
Their mission to get creators to fight and raise money for charity, you can do that down there. I will be doing that on my own, and I hope you guys have a good time. Also, for all the people who touch grass, I want to remind you to click the like button on this video.
That does not apply to me. There's still man. I'll just finish it up.
Not so it goes in your algorithm or anything, just specifically so that we can add a counter narrative, or I can get an idea of how much astroturfing is out there, because I know that a lot of these fuckers, they love their dislike button extensions. And I saw that shit and I was like, what the fuck? These are all like fabricated numbers. The like-dislike ratio was like 80-20 on my video, and then they tried to create a narrative.
Well, let's see it. I know, and every time I bring it up, that I show the dislikes on the extension, I say this is not accurate. I'm pretty sure literally every time I've shown it, I've said that. But the reason I show it is just because you can see, oh, this is a pretty heavily disliked video. Probably not as heavily disliked as it's being shown, but most big creators, when they upload a video, it gets 99% like to dislike ratio. And you can see that's obviously not the case with this. He's saying the original content comp has 80-20. Just show it. Show what the like to dislike ratio is, what it actually is. Because otherwise I'm going to say, I don't believe 80-20. I'm thinking more 60-40, 70-30 at best.
Dislike ratio was like 80-20 on my video, and then they tried to create a narrative of like, no, people actually hate this content comp, guys. It's actually so much worse.
Sure, if people are saying that the content comp is terrible just because of the like to dislike ratio, that's dumb. But you can see from the way people talk about it online, a lot of people did not like the content comp and disagreed from it. You can see from the coverage and the comments on those pieces of coverage, people were not really down with the content cop. Like, you might have had a decent number of fans and people who agree with you, who liked the videos, and that, may even be most of the people who watch the video. I don't know. He's saying it's 80-20. What does the extension say it actually is right now? Oh, dang, that's considerably worse than the last time I saw it. 362 upvotes to 533,000 downvotes, according to the inaccurate dislike extension. Yeah, just show what the actual numbers are. Otherwise, I don't believe 80-20.
Like, bitch, like, people were more upset with, like...
And besides that, it doesn't really mean anything, right? If a video went over really well, it would still be like 95% like to dislike ratio. But the fact that you, as a big creator with 7 million subs, got an 80-20, yeah, that means a lot of people didn't like the video. And you can look at the coverage of it and the comments about the coverage.
My wife being on OnlyFans. You're not gonna convince the internet that fucking Ethan Klein isn't being a piece of shit. Like, sorry guys.
Oh, okay, so that was the dislike for the video where he said he doesn't care that Anisa is doing OnlyFans. So it's weird to me that he would show, oh, it's better than this. It has 61.7% like to dislike ratio. And even that kind of proves the point that I was saying. Like, that was the beginning of the end for Ian. That marked the true downfall of his career and pretty much his entire audience turning on him and his channel not really ever getting the views that it got before. And that still has 60% like to dislike ratio. So, yeah. Even if you got 80-20, not a great sign, right? It doesn't necessarily mean that people like the video. Because even the thing that marks the end of your career, the ruination of iDubbbz as the internet knew him, still got 61.7% like to dislike ratio.
It doesn't matter how many dislike extensions you have.
We can free Palestine without being a Nazi, okay? Yeah, fuck you guys too, okay? How about you fucking Nazis? How about that?
It's blatantly and obviously fucking disingenuous. This shit blew my fucking mind. Like, this is fucking insane. And, like, dangerous. He is going out of his way to slander you as a neo-Nazi. Like, that can get you hurt.
Thank you, Ethan Klein. You are my best friend. You are the rent payer.
You couldn't even put the cop suit back on for this? You're gonna do some lame, unfunny skit? But you're just not gonna put the cop suit on?
You are the legend. Thank you, Ethan Klein. You are my...
Also, I don't think that you can criticize Ethan and Hila for doing jumping jacks on somebody's show and then at the end of your video get down into your underwear and do a terrible dance. I don't think that criticism holds any weight when you then do this. This is obviously worse than doing jumping jacks on somebody's show. Wow. Well, thank goodness it was not an hour long again, because this video would have been way too long then. But still pretty terrible. I don't think he put any jokes in there. And he seemed confused, or at the very least took what I thought were pretty obvious jokes from Ethan seriously at certain points. So, yeah, I don't know. There's just, you never even see a glimmer of the old iDubbbz when you watch his content these days. And he completely abandoned any attempt to really make this a content cop or a content deputy. I mean, how long did we get with the suit? Let's see.
Hello, everyone.
5 seconds. It was 5 seconds that he wore the suit, the entire video. And he calls it a content deputy. Yeah, I don't know. Ian is washed. There's not really much else to say. And pretty much all of his points in this video are things where it's like, yeah, sure, you can criticize Ethan for that, but also you have some criticism in that same area too. A lot of kamikaze points in this video. Those are pretty much the best that he had.